Hey everybody, Daniel Mosnet here with Cowboy Charcoal, and we're talking big game recipes. And what's a big game recipe without a big sandwich? So we're doing French dip sandwich, smoked French dip sandwiches. We've got a beautiful eye of round. We're gonna put it on the pit barrel for about an hour and a half. We're gonna smoke some onions down, make a nice au jus. We're gonna make a fantastic little onion dip that we're gonna spread on our bread with Spiceology's new Ooomami blend. It's a fantastic blend from GirlCarnivore. She's awesome. She's got some great spices out there that you guys need to go out and grab. First, we need to start our grill. So we're working on the pit barrel grill over here today, and we've got our charcoal chimney. And to our charcoal chimney, we've done this a couple of times before. We're just gonna add some Cowboy Hardwood Briquets. Now, most of the time you see me add lump charcoal when I'm working on the pit barrel. Today, we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're gonna add all natural hardwood briquettes. I'm gonna follow that up with some cherry chunks so we get a little bit more color on the meat, and it's gonna be fantastic. So, lighting a charcoal chimney, I'm gonna show you a couple of ways. It's really simple, guys, and if you don't have a charcoal chimney and you're starting charcoal, whether briquettes or lump, go pick one up. It makes things so much easier. So a couple of different ways. You filled the top of the chimney and you've got the reservoir on the bottom. I particularly like to use Cowboy all natural wood wool fire starters. We just take roped wood, we dip it in non-GMO all natural vegetable wax, and that's it right there. It's just twisted wood dipped in wax. Everything's natural, and then you just light those. If you don't have those types of fire starters, please don't use a liquid fire starter. We don't want to add things that are unnatural to our grill. So all you need to do is grab some paper. We've got some Western barbecue butcher paper that I use to wrap my brisket. So we just add a little bit of that, just put a little bit of oil right on it, and then you just set it right down, right? You set it right down on your grill, and you can put this charcoal chimney right over the top of it. That's it. That's all it takes to light your grill. And it lights very quickly. You can already see it smoking. This is gonna take about 10 minutes or so to get going, and when you see the flames coming out of the top, you know that it's ready. All right, now that our charcoal chimney is lit, just let that sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. We're starting to get nice and hot, and we'll get our meat ready to go on the grill. So, smoked French dip sandwich. We obviously need some meat, right? So we're gonna smoke our eye of round for about an hour and a half. We're also gonna make our au jus. Now, what makes a great au jus is stewing down some onions in a heavy beef stock. But they're not just any onions. Sweet onions are what we're using today, and these are the short, squatty onions that you see in the marketplace. And when you get these onions and you cut them down, you're really gonna get a lot of sugars and a lot of sweetness. Summertime, out of the central California area, out of the Georgia area, summer sweet onions, oh man, they're absolutely fantastic. And when you can get them fresh, they taste so good. So we're not using the traditional yellow onion. We're gonna use the sweet onion for our au jus. We're also making an onion dip, which we are gonna use a regular yellow onion, and we're gonna smoke that as well. So to get our eye of round ready, and this is what you want. For a French dip sandwich, you really want an eye of round. You want something that's doesn't have a heavy fat content. Because when you bite into that French dip, you don't really want to bite into any of the fat pockets that may not have rendered down. So you want to try to get a nice, lean piece of roast. And that's what we have here. So we'll add a little bit of olive oil right to the outside, just to help us bind and coat our seasoning. You can just add something as simple as salt and pepper to this, or you can add, what we're gonna add today is our Over Easy from GirlCarnivore. So this is kind of her egg blend, but look at all these, man, look at all those herbs and spices. That just smells so good. You can add a little salt and pepper to this if you like. I might add just a little bit of salt right on top. A little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. I like beef with a little bit of pepper. I like my beef to be just a little bit of spicy on the spicy side with black pepper. Fantastic. So we're just adding just a little bit of GirlCarnivore Over Easy to all sides. That's it. Kind of get a little bit messy with it. It's all right, we're outside. There's no problem with that, okay? We're gonna let that sit. I'm gonna add also a little bit of umami powder. Just a little sprinkle. This comes out like a powder, so you wanna use a spoon. I'm gonna add just a little bit to our onions and help coax a little more flavor. All we're doing is layering flavors. All right, so let's take a look at our charcoal. Looks like it's just about ready to go. You can see that we talked a little bit about the ash over. We're all nice and red on the bottom. We're starting to get nice gray corners all the way around the outside. We've got a nice amount of fire that's coming up all the way through. That's a good indication for us that our charcoal chimney is ready to go, and we're ready to dump that right into the bottom of the pit barrel. And we're gonna be able to keep about 325 degrees for probably about 3 hours. We're only gonna need it for about an hour and a half, but we'll be able to keep 325 for probably about 3 hours. Make sure you invest in a good set of gloves. I'm using the pit barrel gloves, but a good set of welding gloves from Lowe's or Home Depot. It costs you a couple of bucks. So pull the grate down, dip this down into the barrel so you're not doing this right in front of your face, and just dump it over. And that's it. That's how you start your charcoal chimney. In addition to the briquettes, we're gonna add about 7 chunks. Let's see what size of chunks we have here. So we've got a couple good sized cherry chunks, and you can see the color of the cherries chunks. That's gonna add a nice red color right to our meat. It's gonna help caramelize things, help get a nice color as we slice our eye of round. All of our chunks are kiln dried to a specific level, so whether you buy them in Tennessee, Minnesota, California, doesn't matter. You're always gonna get the same burn experience with Cowboy chunks, Cowboy chips, cooking wood, whatever it is. We'll put our grate back on. Make sure we don't have any ash left on there. So now that our grate's on, we'll close this down just a little bit so we don't have too much fire going. That'll help us stay at about 275 to 300 degrees all the way through our cook. All right, now that our coals are exactly where we want them to be, we've got a little bit of fire going, but that'll shut itself down as soon as we put the lid on. We're gonna take our eye of round, we're gonna put it right on top. Oh yeah, it smells good. We're gonna take our onions. We want those to smoke for just about 30 minutes. We're gonna put that right in there as well. We'll put our other onions and our shallots inside so they can get a little bit of smoke before we make our onion dip. We're gonna let that cook for about a half an hour. We're gonna make a heck of a sandwich. We're gonna show you how to put it all together. All right, so this has been cooking for about 10-15 minutes. Let me show you how we start to put all of this stuff together. We've got nice caramelization already on our sweet onions. You can see that our shallots and our onion here has already taken on some smoke flavor. We don't want it to go too far. We don't want it to be too smoky. We just want to make sure that we know that there's a little bit of smoke flavor in it. So let's show how we put all this together. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is grab our shallots. And those aren't cold, I'll tell you what, they're warm. And our onion. And you can see all the smoke flavor that we have here. All of that brown, that's all flavor, right? So we've got here just simply some beef bouillon. We're gonna add that right in, and then we're gonna add our beef stock right to the bowl. We just wanna mix that in. This is gonna help mix that bouillon in so we don't get too much bouillon in one place. You can use a spatula or a whisk, but you just want to try and mix this up as much as possible. Okay, so now that this is well mixed in, we'll add this directly to our onions. Add a little bit more beef stock. And we're just gonna let that continue to cook down. Okay, and now as you go through, I like to turn our round. After about a half an hour, you can see that we've got nice caramelization on this side here. We got nice caramelization. You want to make sure that that's as even as you can possibly make it. So we've got our onions going. Cover those up with a little bit of foil so we don't get too much smoke flavor. We'll leave those just loosely covered. A little bit of smoke in that beef stock is going to be fine, so we'll just leave that loosely covered. We'll want to check on it every couple of minutes or so to make sure that we haven't lost too much of that liquid. And then we'll cover it up. And then that's just going to basically sit covered for about the next hour or so. It's already been cooking for about 20 to 30 minutes, and you want to bring that eye of round temperature up to about 130. All right, so let's start making our onion dip. So now that we've got our onion slightly smoked, you want to make sure you just dice the onion. We're going to make a nice medium dice. I'll probably end up using about half of the onion. And all of that brown smoke flavor, that's what you want to make sure that you carry in with you. It's about enough. Now, this is a dip and a spread, so if you want these pieces to be a little bit smaller, you can just continue to dice through. So we've got about a little bit more than half a cup. We'll take and do the same with our shallots. You don't have big chunks when you make your spread. So we'll make these nice and fine. Just let your knife follow all the way down. And you want about as much shallot as you have onion. I like a lot of shallots. That's one of my favorite things to eat when I'm cooking with onions, garlic, all those fresh flavors. I love the flavor of shallots. It's a little bit more robust than just a scallion or a green onion, okay? So now with all of these, we're gonna add a little bit of rice wine vinegar, and don't worry, all of these recipes are just below you here on YouTube. We're gonna add a little bit of oil, a little bit of green onions. We'll add all of our smoked onions here that we've chopped. We'll add some sour cream, just a little. We'll add a little bit of mayonnaise now. We're gonna add a little bit more of our umami powder from GirlCarnivore. Absolutely fantastic. Just taste it, smell it. You can put this in gravies, whatever you like. And then we're just gonna mix that all the way through. Once we get this incorporated, I like to add my Worcestershire once things are relatively well incorporated. I don't want it to get stuck in one spot. So that's relatively well done. We'll add that all the way around. We've got a few other things to add, some nice scallion tops. We've got a little bit parsley to add on the top of it. So this is gonna be the slather that goes inside the bread for our French dip. Oh man, it smells so good. All right, so this, once you're all mixed up and everything's incorporated, you're gonna wanna let that sit in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes or so. We've got about another 45 minutes left on our eye of round. So we're gonna get a thermometer in there and check the temperature, and probably about 45 minutes, we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here we go. Big game, big recipes, big sandwiches, right? So we've let all of our ingredients cook. We've got our onions that are still pretty hot. Those have been cooking for about an hour and a half. Let's see what they look like here. Oh, let's see. Oh, it smells great. It smells great. And it's got that deep, dark color that you really want for a good jus, right? So we'll let that just sit right off to the side. We pulled our eye of round. We pulled that at about 130 degrees and just let that sit and steam. And there's a little bit of juice that came out of that, so we're just gonna pour that right. We don't wanna lose any of it. We're gonna pour that right into our jus. It's been sitting for about 30 minutes, so all of those juices should be coming right back to the center. And we're gonna slice this up. Now let's see what this looks like when we cut into it. Before we do that though, we're gonna put our traditional Philly style hoagie rolls. We're just gonna put those on the grill so they get nice and toasty. That'll help get your provolone cheese nice and stringy. That's what really makes it. Okay, so let's take a look at our eye of round here. We've got a nice smoke ring all the way around. We've got plenty of juices in the middle. And you want to have a nice thin slice. You don't want big, thick cuts. You want nice, thin slices. Oh, that little piece fell off there, so let's take a bite and see what it is. We've got a ton of great smoke flavor. We've got all of that umami powder. We've got all of that GirlCarnivore seasonings that we put on there. Okay, now let's build our sandwich and see what that looks like. So first we're gonna take our rolls. We're gonna open up our roll. We're gonna slather it with the onion dip that we made earlier. We're gonna put that all the way through the inside, both sides. And we're gonna fold our pieces of meat, fold all the way through. You wanna make sure that you get a nice bite of meat in every bite. Make sure you put enough. You don't put too much, but you put enough that you're gonna have enough meat for every bite that you have. You wanna find the pieces that are nice and thin. That's just about enough meat for us. Then we're gonna add our provolone cheese, about half of a slice right on the one side, half of a slice right onto the other. We're gonna fold that up. Then I'm gonna put this right back on the grill just for a minute or so. I'm gonna close the top, and when I open that top back up, it's gonna be nice and melted inside. Okay, so while that's getting nice and warm inside and that cheese is starting to break down and melt, we're gonna take our juice and we're gonna just pour it. I don't really want the onions to come out. I just wanna pour our juice right into the bowl. If an onion or two falls in there, that's okay. And that's gonna be our dipping sauce. Oh, that smells good, nice and smoky. All right, let's see what our sandwich looks like. Oh, look at that cheese is melted nicely. Look at that, that looks awesome. Take this over. That's our plate. We're gonna dip this in our jus. There's nothing more than I love than a nice French dip sandwich. And what a great recipe for the big game. Mm-hmm. This onion dip absolutely makes it. The provolone cheese, the Au Jus dip, oh man, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm Daniel Mosnet with Cowboy Charcoal. Thanks for joining us today. We've had a blast making this French dip sandwich with you. And tell me what favorite sandwich you have. What do you like to eat? What do you like to grill? We want to know. Join us here for these recipes and so many more. Click subscribe. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and so many other places. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.